I think one of the big things I've been struggling with recently is that as you start out in the very beginning of your journey, with social media being present, you see all these people who are like very far along on their journey, and you just start to think like, man, I wish I started earlier, or I wish I was already like more successful or seeing at least a little bit more progress. And you start to kind of compare yourself. And this comparison can be beneficial because it can sometimes motivate you, but more often than not, it's kind of just worrisome, and it kind of makes you question if you're really doing the right thing, or more generally, if you can become successful at all. And I think that's like a very big kind of concern with social media in many different aspects. It's why a lot of people see the top 1% kind of bodybuilders out there and they don't even have a six-pack, and they're really looking at that and they start to get very like depressed about it because there's too much comparison going on. And I think that you really just have to recognize what social media is. And social media is really just something that people are posting on. Their posts are not always completely authentic, and sometimes they are, but they're also posting all the exceptions. And all the exceptions are really the things that are going viral, that are seeing the most people. So if you had a platform where you had all the most successful people, or all the most jacked kind of people on it, and that was all everyone was seeing, and they're not seeing what 99% of the population looks like or acts like, of course it's going to cause problems, because you're not really getting a representative sample of the majority of people. I think I was really like getting overwhelmed by just seeing, all these different examples of people who are successful already. And you have to realize that that's really just all in your phone. And yes, those people do exist and they are like motivation, but also there's still like 90% of the world that is out here, not really working on anything, not really like achieving much each day. They're kind of just stuck in a loop, and they're not really like progressing themselves towards their goals each day. So I think that like level of just self-recognition is super important, because otherwise you're gonna push yourself towards this kind of standard that's not even realistic. So becoming successful is really a big balancing act of trying to push yourself as much as possible towards a goal that most people would consider just absolutely crazy or absolutely bonkers, but at the same time being grateful for the progress you already made. So I think that's why the success is such a difficult thing, because those two extremes of the balancing act is very difficult, right? Like most people, when they'll either go one way or the other. They'll either be super sad that they don't make progress, or they'll be extremely grateful for their progress. And it's really a big test of your kind of ability to stay consistent, your ability to just put in work and do things without really seeing a reward right away. Because oftentimes the people who aren't successful is just because they couldn't handle that period, the really, really long period of not seeing immediate results from their actions. And those who can handle that period and push past it and kind of trust in their own ability to become successful and keep putting in that work, and that one day, eventually, things will work out, versus like other people just get really scared that they're not making progress and start to doubt themselves. So it's like the people who can push past that kind of weeder period, I think, are the ones who actually make it. But the big question is like, how long is that weeder period? And the answer is, it's just, it could be years. And that's a very, very scary answer for a lot of people, right? And I think that for a lot of people, they can't handle the answer of it being like a couple of years, because that means that they, for a couple of years, have to act kind of not successful, or have to act kind of like broke, to other people, when they know they have more inside the tank, when they're able to actually do things. But that kind of gap in between what you want to be and what you are right now, and how you handle that gap, is really what determines success at the end of the day. Because so many people can't handle that gap. And some people don't even have the gap to start with. Some people are completely fine with where they are, even though they're probably capable of a lot more. So success is a very kind of spiky thing, in that there's many aspects of it that are very clear and straightforward. And there's many aspects of it that are not clear and not straightforward and don't really make sense at all. Like, for example, there's probably a lot of people out there who became successful after doing years and years of hard work. And then let's say one of those kind of pieces of hard work actually came to fruition and became popular, right? For example, like content creation. A lot of people make tons of videos, and then all of a sudden one of those videos does really well and it brings in a lot of traffic. But for those people, it's like a very kind of haphazard thing, and you just have to keep putting in the work without expecting anything. It's like you're putting in work into a black void, and you're not sure if like one of those pieces of work is actually going to come to fruition or do anything for you. But you have to keep relentlessly just working and working and working. and just trust in the idea that you can somehow work enough and work smart enough that one day one of those pieces of work will actually cause you to become successful. So it is a very unpredictable thing. But the reason why some people can really stomach it is because they trust in their own ability to kind of outwork the competition and just put in consistent work. Because yes, it's a very unpredictable thing, but it becomes very predictable if you can put in that work consistently day after day. Because if you told me that someone starting out, doesn't matter kind of what level of experience they have, but they had two things. They had the drive and kind of the discipline to put in the work every single day, and they were growing and learning from it, then I could almost guarantee that they would become successful, even though I just described that being successful is such an unpredictable thing. So it's those are the two big traits that you really need to actually achieve success. And so many other factors, right, are just byproducts of that. You look at successful people, you look at all the kind of things they've accomplished, you can pretty much boil it down to those two things I was talking about, right? The discipline and the kind of ability to keep going and keep learning no matter what happens.